Israel. A word that carries more weight than its letters suggest. Just hearing it sparks emotions, pride, anger, hope, fear, depending on who you ask. This tiny strip of land, no bigger than New Jersey, has been the center of human dreams, disputes, and destinies for millennia. To understand it, you have to see beyond the headlines, beyond the political arguments, and into the story of the land, its people, and its future. A land at the crossroads of continents. Geographically, Israel is a bridge. It connects Africa to Asia, the Mediterranean to the deserts of Arabia. Its neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, have all shaped its history. The Mediterranean Sea hugs its west coast with sandy beaches, while a narrow opening in the south connects it to the Red Sea at the Gulf of Aqaba. Within this small territory lies astonishing diversity: snow-topped peaks in the north, fertile valleys bursting with orchards, rolling hills scattered with olive groves, bustling urban skylines, and dry, lunar-like deserts. The country is divided into 6 districts, but at the center of it all lies Jerusalem, the most contested city on earth. To millions, it is the spiritual compass of life itself. To Jews, it is the eternal capital, home of the ancient temples. To Christians, it is where Jesus lived, died, and rose again. To Muslims, it is Al-Quds, the site of Prophet Muhammad's night journey. Every stone, every alleyway, holds a story that billions care about. The puzzle of borders and nations. But geography here is never just physical, it's political. Israel's map is layered with lines, internationally recognized borders, disputed borders, ceasefire lines, security fences. The West Bank and Gaza Strip form the core of Palestinian territories, but who controls what is a maze of agreements, checkpoints, and settlements? The Oslo Accords of the 1990s divided the West Bank into 3 zones. Area A under full Palestinian Authority. Area B with mixed control. Area C, about 60% of the land, under full Israeli control, where most Israeli settlements are located. This division created a patchwork of Palestinian towns cut off from one another, fueling resentment and shaping daily life. In Gaza, life is even more difficult, with blockades, electricity shortages, and a population of over 2 million squeezed into a narrow strip. Yet amid these challenges, life goes on, markets buzz, children go to school, weddings are celebrated, and families gather for meals. Why Jerusalem matters. And then, Jerusalem. After the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel annexed the eastern half of the city, including the Old City. For Israel, it was the restoration of its capital. For Palestinians, it was the loss of their future capital. Internationally, the annexation is still debated, and most embassies are based in Tel Aviv, though in 2018 the U.S. moved its embassy to Jerusalem, sparking both celebration and outrage. But politics only scratches the surface of Jerusalem's significance. Walk through the Old City and you'll find the Western Wall, where Jews pray before stones laid by Herod the Great 2,000 years ago. Just above, the golden dome of the rock gleams in the sunlight, one of Islam's holiest shrines. A short walk away lies the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and buried. All within a few hundred meters, 3 of the world's major faiths overlap. No wonder every attempt to solve Jerusalem feels impossible. It's not just real estate, it's identity, memory, and hope wrapped into one. The landscape, from desert to oasis. Beyond the politics, Israel's land tells its own story. The Jordan River winds down the Great Rift Valley, feeding into the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth, where salt crystals crust the shoreline and swimmers float like corks. To the south stretches the Negev Desert, a vast wilderness of red canyons and silent craters, covering more than half the country. To the north, Mount Hermon's snowy slopes draw skiers in winter, while the Galilee's hills are covered in vineyards and wildflowers. For centuries, farming here was almost impossible, the soil poor, the climate harsh, and swamps spreading malaria. But through collective farms known as kibbutzim, Israelis pioneered new agricultural methods: drip irrigation, desalination, and crop genetics. They drained the swamps, planted citrus groves, and turned deserts green. Today, Israel exports avocados, dates, and pomegranates around the world and leads in water recycling technology. It is a place where necessity bred invention. A startup nation. That same spirit of invention didn't stop at farming. Israel is one of the most innovative countries on earth. With few natural resources, it learned to grow ideas instead. Tel Aviv is now one of the world's top tech hubs, known as Silicon Wadi. Israeli entrepreneurs gave the world flash drives, drip irrigation, firewalls, the Waze navigation app, and cutting-edge medical technologies. Intel, Google, and Apple all run major operations here, and Israel has more companies listed on the Nasdaq than any country outside the US and China. Part of this drive comes from necessity. Military service is compulsory for both men and women, and the army has become a training ground for future engineers, cybersecurity experts, and innovators. Add to that a culture that values debate, questioning, and chutzpah, boldness, and you get a recipe for groundbreaking ideas. A tapestry of people. But who are the people living in this small but influential land? About 9 million citizens call Israel home, and if you include Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, the number reaches around 13 million. About 3/4 of Israelis are Jewish, but that category is far from uniform. Jews came here from everywhere. Mizrahi Jews from North Africa and the Middle East. Ashkenazi Jews from Europe. Sephardic Jews with roots in Spain. Ethiopian Jews airlifted in dramatic rescue operations during the 1980s and 90s. Russian Jews who arrived in the 1990s after the fall of the Soviet Union. Each group brought its own traditions, foods, and music. Walk through a market in Tel Aviv and you'll find Yemenite breads sold next to Russian pastries, Moroccan spices beside Iraqi coffee. Hebrew unites them, though you'll also hear Arabic, Russian, English, Amharic, and French. 1/4 of the population is non-Jewish, mostly Arab Muslims and Christians, alongside Druze and Bedouin communities. The Druze, a small religious minority, are known for their loyalty to the state and their service in the Israeli army. Bedouins, once nomadic desert tribes, now live in both recognized towns and unrecognized villages in the Negev. Together, they form a cultural patchwork unlike anywhere else in the Middle East. Everyday life in a land of contrasts. Despite the tension, everyday life often feels surprisingly ordinary. Cafes in Tel Aviv brim with young people working on laptops. Families hike in nature reserves on weekends. Children play soccer in alleys in both Israeli and Palestinian towns. Festivals light up the year, Hanukkah with its glowing menorahs, Ramadan nights filled with feasts, Easter processions winding through Jerusalem streets. Israelis are known for being direct, outspoken, and energetic. Palestinians for their hospitality, resilience, and poetry. Both peoples love strong coffee, fresh bread, and lively family gatherings. Both cherish their land deeply. The world and Israel. On the global stage, Israel's relationships are as complex as its geography. The United States is its closest ally, tied by history, shared values, and a large Jewish American community. Germany, once the nation of its darkest tragedy, is now one of its strongest European partners. Egypt and Jordan, former enemies, now maintain peace treaties, though the relationships remain cautious. India has grown closer in recent decades, with strong military and tech cooperation. And then there's Azerbaijan, a surprising but strong Muslim-majority partner in trade and security. Still, many countries refuse official recognition, and protests over Israel's policies erupt worldwide. Israel is admired for its innovation, but criticized for its occupation. It is a nation constantly balancing pride with pressure, achievement with adversity. The unfinished story. And that is Israel, a land of contradictions, a nation of innovation and tension, a home for one people and a dream for another. Every stone in Jerusalem tells a story thousands of years old. Every family in the West Bank or Tel Aviv carries memories of exile, survival, or return. There is no quick fix, no easy solution. The past is too long, the wounds too deep, the faith too strong. But perhaps the beginning of peace lies not in louder arguments but in deeper listening. For in this land, where prophets once walked, where empires rose and fell, where science and spirit meet, the story is still being written. And the world, as always, is watching.